the complete functionality for the car, or if we cover about the body, the veins of our body, the brain of our body will be equal to the JavaScript for the website. And without wasting any much of time, I will just directly jump on directly. Now, majorly, whenever someone will think of the JavaScript, there will be four major questions like what is JavaScript, what we can do with JavaScript, what JavaScript, where the JavaScript code runs, and what is ECMAScript. These questions will be for like what is ECMAScript? Will know more not like most of the people don't know about ECMAScript, but whoever have heard about the terms of JavaScript, they must be know about the ECMAScript also. Like I will be covering all these things and also JavaScript from basics to some little bit intermediate. Let's get started. And what is JavaScript? JavaScript is an most popular and widely used programming language, and it is also only client-side language. You can also say it's the only client-side language available. Client-side language in the sense it will run inside of a browser. Your client in the sense not you. Client represents the browser you are using. Okay, and JavaScript is the most popular language. As you can see, these analytics are taken from the Stack Overflow survey. I haven't just dropped these analytics. These analytics are taken from the Stack Overflow survey, developer survey. As you guys all know, Stack Overflow is a great community of programmers. And coming to the next question, and also whoever is a good at JavaScript can also work in backend, front end, and full stack, and we'll see more things. And what we can do is, and also like JavaScript, you can see in the sense like when you load a particular website in your browser, let's say then you will get some files from the browser. As we were discussing at day one, whenever you load a website in your browser, the server will send you some files, and those files include HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And today we are talking about the JavaScript. And next, what we can do with JavaScript. And these are the things that we can do with JavaScript: websites, desktop applications, mobile applications, games. Yes, we can also build browser games using JavaScript, and also terminal tools. Like there is something called one called Hyperterm, which is so much famous, like WebDev stack based terminal. And you can do these things with JavaScript. Like yeah, let's just jump into the next question. Where the JavaScript code runs. Now in the past, like in the 90s, JavaScript was only like it was only running in the browser. It was not like running in the computer. Like if you take the Java, you can run Java in our computer. There will be compilers and all those things. But it was originally designed only for the browser. Every browser has a JavaScript engine that executes a JavaScript code. Like let's say Chrome has its own engine called V8 engine, and Firefox has its own engine called SpiderMonkey, and all these things. And Safari has its own JavaScript engine. Okay. And in 2009, an engineer called Ryan Delp, you don't need to remember his name and all those things, but just I'm saying, in 2009, what happened is, the particular engineer took an open source JavaScript, Chrome JavaScript V8 engine, and embedded the particular code, like this engine, inside of a C++ code. And then he called the particular program as Node. Okay, he called the particular program as Node. Okay, sorry, that was last repeated. Yeah, and he called the particular program as Node. And Node is nothing but like okay, Node is a C++ program that includes Chrome V8 engine. Chrome is just a C++ program that includes Chrome V8 engine. Now we can run JavaScript code outside the browser. So we can pass JS code to encrypt, and let's say we can use JavaScript as a general language now, as we use Python in our computer also. By using this node, what happens is we can also use JavaScript for our backend purpose. We can run JavaScript on our servers and all those things. This like before coming of Node, people used to refer to JavaScript as a play language, a toy language. People used to refer it like that because JavaScript was only running in browsers at that particular time. Okay. Now we can use JavaScript easily to build a web backend for mobile applications and web applications and all those things. Now, the next question which comes in your mind is what is ECMAScript? Now, ECMAScript is not a language. To be specific, ECMAScript not at all a language. ECMAScript is an organization which decides the standards for the JavaScript. Okay? Which decide the standards for the JavaScript, like which version is running currently, what should be the name of this particular version, which decide the versions of the JavaScript. Okay, like ECMAScript is not specification. This is the most important thing, and In 1997, Ecmascript was started, and in 2009, Ecmascript 5 was released, which was the very major one. Ecmascript 5 was a very major update for the JavaScript. Okay? And even nowadays, you hear that most of the people say like ES6 and ES5, they will talk about this stuff. Some of you might be heard of this concept like ES6, ES5. Those are nothing but JavaScript itself, but some versions of JavaScript, like ES5 is some old version of JavaScript, ES6 is the new version of JavaScript with some additional syntax helps and all those things. I will discuss also those things also, which came additionally with ES6 and all those things. And 2005 to 2018, like to ES6, ES7, and these terms came out, but like they haven't came out directly. Some particular browsers opted ES6 priorly, and some particular browsers opted ES6 lately, like that. Okay, now welcome to the JavaScript syntax, how we write the JavaScript code. I'm assuming that at least some of at least like, you guys will be like knowing at least C language. Even if you don't know, it will be you will be covered up. Okay, if you know somewhat basics like the basic things, it will be helpful. Even if you don't know, you will cover up in the sessions. Like at every programming language, there is a common term called variables. Now I will also show some visual representation, what are variables and all those things. But broadly in JavaScript, there are two types of variables. One is primitive variables, and another is compound variables. And in the primitive variables, there will be terms like numbers, strings. Strings are nothing but words. Strings are nothing but words. Number includes -1s to negatives and positives. And Boolean is nothing but true or false. Okay. And there's term called arrays and objects. We will see about these things in deeper and sooner, like in next 3 4 slides. We'll see about arrays and objects in deeper. Mainly about object. Object is the most important thing in JavaScript. We'll look into that. Okay. Yeah. Just next slide. Yeah, variables. Now, what's mean by variables and how we store some values instead of the variables and all those things. Let's discuss about these things. Right? You can say variable as a box. Okay, you can say variable. Let's say I have a number number five. I need to store that number 5 in some variable so that I can use it further and whenever in my code. Okay, let's say I have a number 5. How I store is like variable number equals to 5, like this. Now we have number is like a string which you are giving to it. It's like a label for a box. Okay, now variable is a box. The name you are giving to that particular variable is like a label for a box, and the value is you're keeping which is inside of the box. You can easily understand with this pictorial representation, I think. Next, now there are 3 types to declare a variable inside of JavaScript. One is using where keyword, one is using let keyword, one is using const. Where was an old version, like in ES5 and older versions. Now in modern JavaScript, most of the developers use let and const. If you avoid using where, it will be much better. Like there are pros and cons of using let and const, but I don't want you to take this discussion and make it advanced, so that I just keeping it on top only. Like it's better not to use where. Okay, and let and const, there's a difference between let and const. If you want to change the value, like you have declared a particular variable, and let's say you want to change the value further in your program, and let's say, for example, let's say I have given my marks as 10, and I want to change my marks anywhere in my program to 20, then I will use let keyword. If I use const, it's like constant value. We cannot change that value. If I use const keyword to, let's say, initialize a variable, we can't change the value of const. Okay, I will show you in the program also in few minutes. Don't get if you don't understand, I will show you the program also. And arrays is nothing but a set of numbers, a list of numbers. Like a list of numbers is a general arrays is like general concept we know C or any other languages, any other programming languages. We will be aware of arrays. It's just same in here also. Arrays will be declared in the 2 square brackets, same as all other programming languages. It's like a set of numbers. That's all. Getting more than that. And objects. Object is, if you are aware of Python, object is same like a dictionary. If you're not aware of Python, I will show you what is object clearly. Object is like a key value pair combination. Key value pair. If you observe clearly, I have used const to declare the value. It's just you can also use let. We can also use const. Okay, I use const over here. If you observe this one, object declaration starts with 2 curly braces, and instead of that, if you observe, there will be a pair of key and value. And the first, if you see, observe clearly, name is a key, and Pranay is a value. And the next one, age is a key, 18 is a value. Object is nothing but key value pair combination. And in in languages like Java, there will be some concepts called dictionaries, and in C there will be concepts like structures, and Python there will be concepts like dictionaries. You can relate this particular concept to this if you know the particular languages. If not, it's just a key language, key pair, key value language, key value pair. And here how we use it, how, let's say console dot, here you are seeing a new line of console.log. I will explain you what that line means. It's just like print statement in Python and all those things. Like you're just printing something. You just use it to print something. Okay, console.log. And what we're doing in the case of arrays is just like array of index. Whatever the zero instead of the square brackets, whatever digit instead of square brackets is there, it's like index. Index is nothing but, let's say here the values are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And it will take the each number takes an index starting from 0. It will not start indexing, not start from 1. It starts from 0. These indexes are used to get that particular elements, get the values at the particular place of array. Okay. Let's say if I say error of 0, I will get the value 1. If I say error of 1, I will get the value of 2, like that, at the particular position. In the same way, while coming to the objects, for to get the particular value, we need to specify the particular key. As I discussed, it's a key value pair combination, right? You need to say console.log. Obj is a call variable name that I have used for that, like the box name, the label on the box. Okay, and I'm saying obj.name. Meaning of that is the name, value of name instead of the obj object. That's the meaning of it. I think you got to understand. I will discuss more about that. I will show the code and all those things within few minutes. Yeah, and syntax, JavaScript is like C-like syntax. JavaScript has C-like syntax. Like most of its syntax has been stolen from C, you can say. It's like C-like syntax. It will be most like all the programming languages, you can say Java, Python, and all those things. The syntax will be like somewhat similar to C, where it's like for loops, while loop, not other things like for loops, while loops, if else statements. If you are not aware of these things, no issue. I will also talk about them also in this session. A little bit, not in deeper, but yeah. And while coming to the for loops, there are two types of for loops will be used mostly in the JavaScript. And one type of for loop is for in loop. So one type is for in loop. You can see is a particular code snippet where I have used for in loop. It's just for a particular set of values for every element in the particular set of values. You can understand this like it's some self-explanatory. If you can read, like I will just show you. And above, if you observe the const obj, the same object that I have used previously, and saying for let, I have used let to just to initialize the variable, initialize a new variable called key. Okay, here I'm initializing a new variable called key. For every key instead of object, it's saying for every key instead of object. Now there are three types of keys instead of an object, right? One is name, which is a string key, which have a value of string. One is age, which have a value of integer or number. One is student, which have a value of true, which is boolean value. Okay. And what I'm saying is console.log key and the value. This is how, like when we loop over, we will get the key, right? To get the value of the particular key, we need to say obj of key. Okay, obj of key. You can also say obj dot key also. Okay, there are two types you can use. Okay. Obj dot key, obj off. Now, whenever I am saying off, it's nothing but square brackets. Whenever I'm saying off, it's nothing but square brackets. And we use for in loop for objects. And as you can see on the right side, I have just displayed the output. How will be the output? And there's another type of loop for off, which we will use for arrays. Okay, it's like for every number of array. Okay, for every key element of array. Again, it's like self-explanatory. If I read for every number of array, print it. That's all. It's like a very simple thing. Yep. Next called functions. Now don't think that I'm going fast, because I will open the code editor and I will show everything in there. Okay. I'll open the code editor and show everything in there. Just bear with me for 5 minutes. I will open the code editor. Yep. And welcome to functions. Functions are nothing but just a piece of code which we will use more times. Let's say I want to add two numbers 10 times, but the two numbers are different numbers. Let's say I want to add 1 and 2 once, and I want to add 2 and 3 once. Like, addition, I'm just taking it as an example. For addition, there is a simple logic for a plus b. Let's say there is a complex calculation happening. Let's say I'm taking the average of 10 different numbers, okay, or some other complex calculations, but I want to run those particular calculations repetitively. most number of times, and I don't want my code to be long. I want it to be look short. In that case, what we'll do is we'll drop all those particular common calculation inside of a block of code. Okay, that we call that block of code as a function. We'll give that a name and we'll call it again and again. Here now I will explain the syntax. And we will like function a keyword to declare the function, okay, inside of JavaScript, and then we use name of the function, which is add in this case, and then instead of round brackets we use add parameters. Now these are the like the varying parts. Let's say I want to add two different numbers 10 times. Like I need to pass those two numbers to the function, right? In order to use those two numbers inside of the function, I need to pass, right? Those are called parameters. Those parameters will be pass instead of this circle brackets as a comma b I have passed. And what I'm simply doing is I'm returning a plus b. What we can also do is we can also write c equals to a plus b and return c. We can do all the calculations, but at the end we will return the answer, actual solution. I think you guys got it. And here it down, I just console logging for example just to show. Okay. And there are also another type of functions instead of JavaScript, like which is introduced after ES6. You can say ES6 nothing but the latest version of JavaScript called arrow functions, which you will come across the most of the times. Like most of people are using arrow functions these days just to avoid those syntax mistakes and all those things. Like just to be shorter and sweeter. It's like a small representation I have shown. I will show in code clearly of what are arrow functions. It's like we'll pass those parameters instead of that brackets, and we'll just keep that arrow and we'll pass all the statements. Statement is nothing but the code which you want to run repetitively. Okay, we'll just pass all the statements instead of the curly braces. That's all. The simple way to pass functions. Okay, okay. Let's later about the DOM. First of all, let me explain these things. Minimize, right click, show desktop icons. I usually keep desktop icon on hide just to be clear. New folder, Day3. Open the folder, right click, open with code. Cool. Just open here. Perfect. First of all, before talking about anything else, first of all, let's see where we write JavaScript program. Like as you know, we will write CSS instead of style tags, and we will also write in some separate files. In the same way, we can also write JavaScript in two different ways. I will show you now. Let me just create index.html, which is supposed to be the home page of the website. And okay, I will not create any other file now. I'll just drop the boilerplate code. And I also explained what is the meaning of these three lines yesterday. Let's just give the document and basics. Okay. Instead of the body, I will just say hello to test my live server and live server. I will drop over here. So perfect. Now there are two ways to write the JavaScript code, and one more thing, we will include JavaScript code we can include JavaScript code inside the body or inside the head. If you wish, both are correct ways, both are correct to use, but the best place to include your JavaScript code is at the end of your body. So the meaning of at the end of the body, just before the end of the body ending tag. That's my copilot. It gives my suggestions. Now listen, yeah. If you send and JavaScript code can be written inside of the script tags like this, inside of the HTML itself, or else we can also pass some different files like using this script src equals to and the source name of the file. Okay, we can also do this, or else we can also write here itself. Okay, got it right? There are two ways to add JavaScript. For this session, to be clear, I'm going to add here itself instead of our main JavaScript file itself. Okay, cool. Now here I'm going to add JavaScript. I will just say console.log. I will explain what do you mean by console.log. Let's say console.log string hello, and whatever integer or whatever you mention instead of the double quotes will be taken as string. If you don't mention the double quotes, it will be taken as a variable, like a name of the variable. Okay, I will explain that also in a minute. So just print hello world and go to here. Now, where this particular will be logged over here, where will be logged means right click on your browser, go to inspect, and then let me just bring it up. If you observe over here, there is a small tab called console, and here where your JavaScript code runs. Okay, here where your JavaScript, it's here also console.log. Hello, prints hello. If you see over here, you can write your JavaScript code here also. Or else in your, if even if you write here, it will run here only. Both are same. Okay, as I was discussing now, JavaScript will run in your browser, and you can also run in your own system using Node. You need to install Node for that. Node is just like an, as I said, a C++ program embedded with the Java Chrome V8 engine. Just quickly open Node on Google and Node.js. You need to install this particular thing. You can install any particular version, and just like a typical language, how you install a typical language. And when you do that, you can run the node on your local PC. Let me just show you how to run, but don't overwhelm who are beginners. This is not required for the basic web development. This is required when you will be starting like advanced web development using JavaScript and all those things, backend stuff importantly. We just quickly click start a new JS file, create a new JS file. JS file will be of .js extension, .js, and I'm just writing console.log over here. Console.log. Hello, and what I say in my terminal, this is the VS Code integrated terminal. Okay, integrated. You can type control tilde. Tilde is something what key down to your escape. Control tilde. Or you can go to here in terminal, new terminal. Okay, what I say is node space my file name, which is script.js. Enter, it will run the program. If you can see, hello is printed. Okay, this is how we run our program instead of this. Now I went to this particular directory where my folder is saved and just type node space. No, now this is not important. No need to remember this and all those things. Now for the basic web development, this is enough. That we should delete this one also. What is our then? Good. Now just continue without JavaScript. Now what I was discussing initially about, we should go back. Okay, variables. And okay, yeah. Now the by meaning of variables, let's say what the meaning of variables. What the meaning of variables? Let's say now we can use like this because it will be taken as a variable. If you want to give some string or if you want to give some letters or word, you need to specify it inside the double quotes. Okay, but it's better if you keep. It's not like 100% important. Okay, I said where name equals to name, and I can just call that variable over here in console.log name, and I will reload. If you can see here, my name is printed over here. So yeah, my name is printed over here. And don't suggest using where my personal suggestion is using will be const or let. Here my name, I will not change my name anywhere in the program. That's why I'm using name const. Let's say I want let marks equals to 20. Okay, for specifying the integer values, no double quotes. Okay, for specifying number values, no double quotes. Let's say I want to change my marks anywhere in the program, so that's why I need to use let. Now let me show you what happens if we try to change the const variable. I'm saying const equal like name equals to. I'm trying to change. Let's see if it changes or not. The reload is not printing anything. Okay, it's going through some errors because I have disabled showing errors. If I show errors, it says Pranay is not defined. Okay, let me just keep it in double quotes. My bad. It's saying assignment to constant variable. It's saying error, type error, assignment to constant variables. We cannot change the value of constant variables. Okay, I think you got it. Now I can change my marks to something else like 30 and print marks. Here, if you see over here, it's saying 30. Now, and don't look at the error. This error is because of some extension, Chrome extension. That's why I have disabled this thing. Yeah. It's saying 13. As you can see, I have changed the value. You can see the values of late. And this is the basic variables. And the next concept is arrays. And also we can declare arrays in same manner. Let's say marks equals to let marks equals to 10, 20, 40, 30, any random numbers. Okay. I'm printing mark. Okay. As you can see here, just printed out an array. Okay. As you can see over here, okay, let me just quickly start this program, zoom in so that I can zoom in. Yeah, it's running. Now I can zoom in. Yeah, as you can see over here, it's showing at index 0 it's 10, at index 1 it's 20, right? You can see clearly over here, right? Now let's say I want to print which is at the index 0. It prints 10, as you can see over here, okay? Because index of 10 was 0, okay? Cool. Now let me just quickly show the objects. Objects is the most important like what's a data type, or what I can say. Yeah, data type we can say. Important way of storing data. Important way of storing data. When you become an advanced developer and you're at any stage, object is important to learn. It's the way to rule JavaScript. Okay, it's not gonna go anywhere. You need to learn objects at any point of time. I will just written same object. Let me just use const. Anything works. But I prefer const most because I don't want to change it anytime. Obj equals to, instead of curly braces, we need to mention it. And just keeping enter just to beautify, we can write everything in the same line. Sorry, sorry, my bad. We can write everything in the same line, but just to be understandable, just to make our code readable, and just keeping a new line. Say name colon instead of double quotes. Pranay. And over here, semicolon is important instead of an object. Okay, sorry, it's not semicolon. Sorry, I need to change my slides, and I will change my slides when I am uploading into Teams. It's not semicolon, it's comma over there. My bad over there. Okay. And age equals to 18, comma, then true. Am I a student or not? It's true. Okay, I'm a student. Yeah. And a comma. Comma for last number is not, last thing is not really important. We can keep on not because there are no other elements coming in. Cool. Now let me say console.log object. Over here, refresh. You can see it just printing the object in the same way we have declared it. Key value pairs, okay, a key and a value, age 18. Now age came up and name came down. It's just nothing but it just sorts in the alphabetical order. That's why they are just up and down now. Okay, age is the key and 18 is the value. Let me just type to print out the each value. Okay, log say obj dot. If you can see, VS Code is automatically showing me suggestions. What are the things that are inside? It's a name. It's printing my name. Okay, it's like this. Also, what I can do is this will not work now. This will work when I use for loop and all those things. The only way we can do this is obj dot name, and we can also do in other way without, like, let's say we don't know what is the key we have inside. In that time, we can use other way also. Okay, reload. It's a Pranay, and yeah, into that over this. And for loops, And the same syntax which I have shown you over there in this code snippet, I just don't want to waste the time explaining all these things. It works the same. And we don't, in the most of the times, we don't even use for loops in JavaScript. There will be some particular methods, predefined methods. Let's say like map. There will be methods like map. If I just quickly say j.map, and we need to pass it some functions and all those things because I haven't shown you how to do functions. I will first of all I will show you how to declare the function, all those functions. Okay. We'll declare the functions with the keyword function. Okay, we'll declare the function with the keyword function, and then we will give the name of the function. Let's say add, and then we will pass some parameters like how many parameters we need while declaring. Like I need 2 parameters to add 2 numbers. Okay. Now instead of the curly braces, we'll start the coding the actual function. We can say let c equals to a plus b, and then a new line we can say return c. Okay, this is the way, or else we can also do is, and I'm commenting the code in JavaScript. The way to comment the code is 2 slashes, same as Java. Okay, only few things are same as Java. It's not completely same as Java. Some people think that JavaScript, Java are same things. No, it completely different things. Both are. Okay, we'll also do return a plus b. This way, both things work. What I'll do is I'll just say console.log add of 1, 2. Okay, just reload this. If you can see, 3 is printed over here. 3 is just console logged over here, not printed. We'll say it log. Okay, and this is about the function. And there is one more type of function as I have discussed. Just will drop that type of the function also. It is like, okay, I think it will be somewhat overwhelming for you guys, but discuss about the arrow functions right to the point. I think it's better to discuss about those things when I will discuss about the API. Like when I will discuss about API, I will talk about these things. I'll also discuss about API, which is most important thing today's session. Let's quickly go to the next topic. DOM. Okay, this is all about JavaScript general syntax. How to call functions using just add. We can call the functions and all those things. This is a general syntax. Okay, as same as most of the programming languages. These are the like basics of JavaScript are done till this point. And the DOM. DOM is the most important topic of web development. The complete web development, not is JavaScript. DOM is the important topic of web development. If you have remembered, we have discussed about DOM in our first class. So we just open those class also. The slides of day 1. I need to just let them load. I also want to ask if you guys have any doubts at this point. As we have completed part 1, we can say. Drop on the chat. I'm checking in the chat if you guys have any doubts. Okay, seems like no one have any doubts. No one is responding. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I will just quickly show where I was discussed about in the first class. If you can see in this particular slide, I was discussing about a DOM. Okay, for of loop. Can you explain that part? For of loop. Okay, let's quickly explain the for of loop also. If you don't understand the part, for that I need to just create a new array. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over down here, I'm just removing where let the function be there. I'm taking this off. Okay, just you don't miss out the things. Yeah, I've created an array. I'm writing the for loop to print all the elements inside of the array. Okay, to log all the elements inside of the array. Further, we need to say for, which is the keyword, and inside that, it will just say let num of. Yeah, I will explain you in a bit. I will explain you after writing the code. Okay. What's happening over here is I'm just saying for. What just understand, take it as a general English. Think of it as a general English. Okay, just read it. For let is nothing but we are just declaring, we are just initializing a variable. No, just remove that let over here. Don't think that it is over there. Okay, and what I'm saying is then for every number instead of an array, like for every element instead of an array, for every element of array. Okay, I think you are understanding well English. Okay, for every num inside of an array, for every element inside of an array will be like for every each element inside of an array, this particular line of code will be run. Okay, if we say num plus one, it will print num plus one itself. Reload over here, as you can see, it's printing num plus one. I just remove the plus and reload. Okay, let me just remove this thing. Yeah, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just printed everything. At the same point, let me also explain for in also, because how the object over here already. Just change this for every key. Now this particular variable can be anything. Okay, it's your wish just to be readable. I'm just giving it as key. And in is a like our keyword we need to use in itself. And obj is the object we have created. Obj object we have created over here. Let's say first can print the key. Let's say what prints out. As you can see, name age student printed out. Okay, let's say comma of key. Yeah, as you can see, name Pranay, age 18, the student true. As you can see how it's printed out. This is how for in loop works. Okay, for every key inside of an object, it's like for every key in object. Okay, console log this. That is the for loops. Let me just don't waste the time and go to the DOM. DOM is the most important thing. We can say that DOM is the king. DOM is the king of web development. Okay, okay. I have shown you this is called DOM. DOM is nothing but an object representation of the complete website, object representation of this complete structure of the website. Okay, I will just show you, I will just print the DOM and show you. Don't overwhelm by seeing that. Okay, let me just get this code just to be clear. Okay, what I will say is console.log document. Now document is nothing but which is already declared inside of JavaScript. Document is nothing but an object of the complete website. Okay, object representation of the complete website. Document is nothing but object representation of the complete website. That's all. Okay, and instead of the document there will be elements like let's say instead of the main document there will be HTML tag, head tag, body tag, and instead of the head tag there will be all these things. And instead of the body tag there will be h1 tags, divs, p tags. Give me 1 minute. I think my headphones charger down. I'll just change my headphones. Give me a minute. Just so if you are here, you can interact for a minute.
Hello, Pranay, am I audible? Acha, he's changing Bluetooth only.
Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah. Pranay, also, like, if you have taken a break, please address the doubts in the chat section. A person was facing actually the issue with the run button. I although suggested him the code runner extension, still he's facing. Okay. Still not working for me, even though it is active.
Am I
Okay.
audible now?
Yeah, Pranay, you are audible.
The thing
Please
is,
address
Coronado
the
will not work
doubts.
JavaScript. Coronado will not work for JavaScript. It's because release Node. Node is not like an Java compiler and all those things. It's just different. It's an interpreter language. JavaScript is an interpreter language, somewhat similar to Python, but not also same to Python. You need to install the node and then type node space the file name. This is the only way to run because there is no, as far as I know, there is no extension to run JavaScript code instead of VS Code. As far as I know. Yeah. how to open the window from VS Code browser window from VS Code editor. Go to the HTML file, right click. There will be option open with live server. If you have installed the extension live server, which I have shown in the day one, okay. Click on this button, it will open up directly. Okay. I don't think there is more issues. So, yeah.
Pranay, one more. I think you missed that. For of loop, if you can explain again.
Yeah, I have explained that to this. Yeah, I have explained the for of loop also. Cool. Yeah. Now, as we also discussing, we are discussing about DOM, right? Now, DOM is nothing but, as I said, DOM is nothing but an object representation of a complete HTML program, okay? And instead of that, there will be different elements of object, okay? Now, using DOM, we can use some methods called query selectors, add event listeners. Using DOM, we can edit complete HTML using JavaScript. Using this particular concept called DOM, we can edit the complete HTML. And now I will show you. I will show you. I will not add anything instead of HTML. I will use only JavaScript to write HTML. Okay, I'll show you now. Now these all things are called browser APIs. Okay, these all things are called browser API. Which is these things, query selectors, add event listeners, style.color, and all these things are called browser API. The complete document things. Now there is no particular video on YouTube or no particular clear documentation of browser API anywhere. There are one two websites with clear documentation, not perfect tools. Okay, everywhere it's so confusing. Just listen to me carefully when I'm talking about these things. Most important topic. Now let's say, for example, let's say I'll just keep this hello for example, right? Okay, I'm clearing out my script also. Okay, I'm clearing out my script also. And what I'm saying is like, mm, okay, sorry. I was explaining document, right? Okay, sorry, my bad. As you can see in the console, it just printed out the document, which includes, first of all, whole information of the website, which is included inside of the head tag. Okay, it includes whole information of the website, which is inside of the head tag. And here it starts called body. You can see body equals to body and car UTF-8 and all those things. Just a picture object representation of complete HTML. As you can see, first child is doc type HTML and all those things. There are childrens and all those things. It's like a very big object. Yes, no one knows what is there inside of the complete JavaScript document. Okay, clearly all the things. It's not necessary to know about this thing. What I say is document dot body. And document dot body. As you can see here, it just printed off my body completely. HTML code of my body. Okay, as you guys can see over here, HTML code of my body. As you can see, it's a simple text. Let's say I'll wrap this text instead of an H1 tag. Now if I reload it, as you can see, it's wrapped over H1 tag. Okay, this is how it happens. Okay, now to drag the particular element from the HTML, what we need to do is, let's say I want to change this hello to my name. Let's say hello Pranay. I want to change it to hello Pranay using JavaScript. To do that particular thing, what we need to do is we need to give the specific identifier for that particular element called ID. As we have discussed, ID is a unique number or unique value which will be used only once in the complete HTML. Okay, only once in the complete website. Let's say heading. And what I will do instead of the script is const. Well, let me just use let h1 however h1 is just a variable. I can use anything. I can use HEA. Just to be clear, I'm just using h1. H1 equals to document dot get element by ID. Get element by ID. What does it mean? From the document, get a particular element from the by ID. Okay. Now why we are using dot means it's just method. Whenever we are using dot, it's nothing but we are using a particular method. We need to keep circle braces at the end. Now, what are the methods? If you don't know what is the method is just it's like a function which is tied to an object. Okay, it's like a function which is tied to an object. If you observe here, object document is an object, right? Document is an object, and these methods we can use you can use these particular methods only with an object. Okay, it's just same like a function, but we will use this methods with an object attached. Okay, what I'm saying, get element by ID. I need to specify the ID over here, which is heading instead of a quotes. Heading. Yeah. Now what I will say is, just to be clear, everything is perfect. Console.log. Console.log is also an, let's say, what method only. Okay, console.log h1. If you see over here, h1 hashtag heading. Hashtag is nothing but ID. We are discussing the day 2. Okay, and if you observe, there are different values for this particular h1 only. Okay, there are tons of values for this HTML. In this, there will be a thing called inner HTML. Search for it. Let me search for it. There will be something called inner HTML. Yeah, as you can see here, over here, inner HTML. Zoom in. Inner HTML equals to hello. That's the value of the which is inside of this particular tag. HTML inside of this particular tag. Let's say I want to change that value. What should I say? I'll say h1 dot inner HTML equals to over here. Pranay. Okay. Just reload it. It will just print hello Pranay. Okay. This is how we manipulate. This is the first step manipulating. This is our first step manipulating HTML from JavaScript. Okay. Let's say I will create a variable called const name. Now in VS Code, whenever you select an particular text and click on double quotes, it will just automatically wrap it over double quotes. So I'm saying this. What I can say over here is yes name. It will just append the particular, because this hello is a string and name is a string, right? Name is a value type of string, which string is type of word, right? It's just adding it to the end. Okay, just adding it to the end, as you can see. Now let's say we don't wanna change the value directly. Let's say I want to change the value like hello pranay after 5 seconds. After 5 seconds of our loading, I want to change it. If you observe, most of the websites will take some time and show your loading screen until the complete page loads, and that's a different method on those things. But let's say we want to display hello pranay after 5 seconds. How to do that? First of all, let's see how to do that. There are some methods. There are some functions called set timeout. Okay, there are a function called set timeout. Just type set timeout or here set timeout. Now these things takes two things. This particular function take two parameters. First parameter is the function which should be run after the particular time. Second parameter will be the time. Okay. Second parameter will be the time. Let's say function change h1 and it should be run after 5 seconds. 5 seconds is nothing but 5,000. Why 5,000 means it will be in milliseconds. Time will be in milliseconds. Now we haven't declared this function change h1. Let me quickly declare the function change h1. Function change h1. Yeah, function change h1. No parameters, just change the value to. And what we need to do is this thing, this particular line, h1 dot inner HTML. This is changing the value, right? Drag this line inside of the function. Perfect. Now if I reload and see it's hello and wait for 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, run it. I observed reload, page is loaded and completed. Hello is there. After 5 seconds, change hello run. Okay. You can also pass these parameters. Let's just say name. Passing this parameter of name. Whenever I'm inside of the set timeout, I can pass another thing like type, and this will be ignored. No noise of that now. If you see hello star, you need to pass here itself instead of creating a new variable and all those things. Okay, These are the initial steps of manipulating. There is a lot of things to do. I will just quickly show you some more things. Like, for example, what I'll say is, let's just make a simple clock. Instead of doing all these things, let's just make a simple clock. Okay, let's make a simple clock. What I will say is, let date equals to new date. Now, this new date is a function or a method or a function, whatever you can call. It's a function instead of a JavaScript, which will give the today date with a particular time also. I will just print it for you. We observe the browser window instead of the console over here. So observe here. I'm saying console dot log date. As you can see, Thursday, November 18, 2021, 19 is to 3 is to 32, which is nothing but 7:37:3, I think. 7:3 time now. Just wait a minute. I think it's got stuck or something. Yeah, just wait for a second. It's back. As you can see, time is now 7:04. It was 7:03, and this is how simply. This is what new date do. It will just return the new date. It will return the date, the particular date and time right now with the IST, with the standard time. Okay, the standard time. What I'm doing is I'm storing this date in a variable called date. Okay, I'm storing this date now date in the variable called date. Let's say I want to convert this to local time. I don't want any date. I only want time. Now there is a method called get. Sorry, to local time, to locals time string. As you can see here, two locals time string, and no need to remember all these methods also. You can Google anytime anything. Okay, just don't remember that. Just remember that there is some method to do this thing. There is some method to change the date to time. It's only to take out the time from the date. Okay, just remember the thing. Let's say this, and let me just console log. Sorry, console log. Perfect. As you can see in the console, just displays 7:05:15 seconds PM. Okay. Now let's say I want to change this hello world to this time. I want to change this hello world to this time. I will just bring down this particular function over down. Okay. I'll just bring down the particular function, and I will also remove the set timeout and call the function normally first. Let's say inner HTML2. It's one dot inner HTML2 date. Now I am not calling this function, so it's not changing anything. To run this function, we need to call the function, right? To run the function, we need to call the function. I'm doing all the parameters because we don't need any parameters for this function. And I'm saying change h1. This is how we run the function. As you can see over here, function is run, but its time is not updating. As you can see, time is not updating. I need to reload to update the time. I need to reload all the time. Now, to update this particular time for every second, there is another function called set interval. Now, before what we were talking was set timeout. Set timeout will run the particular function after the particular time period. But set interval will run the particular function repetitively after the particular time period. I will show the code. So I will show you the code. Let's say set interval. First, we need to pass the function change h1. Okay, change h1 is a function, comma, interval is 1 second. We have to update the time for every 1 second, right? Interval is 1 second. Hopefully, it will run from the process. Let me just remove this function also. Reload. Is it working? Not working. Check it again. Change h1 is the same function that we have used over here. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to Let me just explain this. Now let me use arrow functions, and we call them just introduce your arrow functions over here itself. And this is how set interval works. I'm doing nothing. This is called a function. I was talking about the arrow functions, right? Over here. Just quickly go to the page. Yeah, over here, arrow functions, two round brackets and an arrow. I insert the statements. Statements are nothing but whatever code you want to run over here, right? Statements are nothing but whatever code you want to run over here. I'm just dragging this code inside the function to here. H1 dot inner HTML2 date semicolon. And what I'm saying is the second parameter is comma 1000. Sorry, is 1000, yeah, 1000. Something going wrong. Something going wrong. Okay, okay. We are declaring this particular date outside of the function. What happens is it is just creating the date at once, and we are not we need, in order to update the date, we need to keep on creating the date after each 1 second, right? Okay. Let's remove the arrow function for your confusion purpose. Drag the same thing. And this is the same code. What I'm doing is it's coming down here in this console. Don't get over. I will explain again if you don't understand. I'll explain again once again. Okay. H1 dot inner HTML equals to. Please remove this date also. New date dot string. Yeah. Sorry. There was something happening in the background. I don't know what's going on, but I will just try to see. For now, less time remaining. So I don't wanna do anything. Just say this is working. Yeah. H1 dot inner HTML document dot HTML. Okay. Just so are you here? Let me just restart my local server. That might be creating some issues. Or else there is some error. Okay. Okay. Something rolled out. I have to be testing, closing over here. Over here, I need to pass the time. Yeah. Okay. It runs now. Yeah. It's working, man. Yeah. Finally, now I will explain what I have written. Okay. Now I will explain what I have written. Don't get overwhelmed by anything. Nothing comes directly. Everything have a logic. Okay. In this line, as you can see, I'm getting the element, the heading element, which you're seeing over here in the HTML. And the set interval, I'm using arrow functions for set interval. Okay. I'm using arrow functions for set interval. Arrow functions are nothing but just a function without declaring. Running a function directly without declaring. Okay. Just like that. As you can see, two brackets, as we can pass parameters which we will be passing to the function inside, right? And while declaring, as you can see, a comma b, right? We can pass that a comma b inside of these brackets, and an arrow, then the statements which are going to be inside of the functions. This is arrow function itself. Okay. And what I'm doing inside of the function, I'm changing the h1 of inner HTML to new date. New date dot local string, which gives the time. Okay, which gives the time of the particular time. Okay. I'm doing the same thing for every 1 second. Okay, I'm doing the same thing for every 1 second. If I change this to 2, if I change this to go over here and reload, so it does every 2 seconds. You can see 13 and 15 and next 17. Changing for 2 seconds. Okay. Let's go back to 1 second. And this is how we make time clock. This is a simple clock. We just made a clock in JavaScript, yeah, with the 2-3 lines of code. and it's time to take something advanced. To start discussing about the API. API is nothing but a middle thing. As you can see, there is a front end and there is a back end, right? Passing the stuff whichever is done by the back end to the front end is nothing but API. And in our first, day one, as you can see in the day one, I was discussing about the analogy. I was explaining an analogy, right? Like over here, I was explaining this analogy. Front end is like what you will see on the restaurant. Back end is like cooking on the restaurant. And who is the middleman serving the food is nothing but API. Okay, you can understand API in that way simply. Cool. Now I'm not going to create any API, but I'm going to show you how to get the API data. Okay, I'm going to JSON placeholder, which is nothing but a random API. So this gives some random APIs for your testing purpose. Okay, this gives random APIs for testing purpose. What I'm going to go is I'm going to go to /users API. I will show you how this API looks. API will be displayed the data in JSON format. Okay, now this is nothing but JSON format, which is also an object if you observe. Okay, this is nothing but an array of objects if you clearly observe. Over here you can see a square bracket, right? It's the starting of array, and over the end you will see the ending of the array. Over here, ending of the array, and in the middle you can see multiple objects. This is an object completed and a new object. JSON is nothing but an array of objects. Okay, JSON is nothing but an array of objects. API is nothing but a complete system which passes this data and all those things. Okay, and now this is the API. Okay, in order to fetch this data, we need to if this particular URL, hit this particular URL. Tag flipping. Sorry for that. Yeah. Now just comment this code. Just say drag the code because we have dragged a bit some time. Okay. In the code, I'm commenting the code, and I will explain what I have done here. Don't overwhelm by this code. What I've done over here is fetch. Fetch is nothing but get the data. It's a function for getting the data. Okay, fetch is a function in JavaScript for getting the data. This is like a parameter of URL. This is the same URL if you observe over here. Okay, this takes a parameter of this. And what I'm doing is wait. In order to work this thing. Yeah, everything is perfect. Yeah. And what I'm doing after fetching is .then response. I'm storing the response as response.json. Okay, and like .json is doing is an array of objects, right? It just stores in the same thing as a JSON format in order to use. Okay, you are not supposed to understand the whole thing, how the back works, how it converts to JSON and all those things. Just think this particular code, think this particular line as getting the data. That's it. We are getting the data and storing the response which it's giving. Okay, storing the response which is given to us, and then data which we got. Okay, data which we got. We are doing this. This is an arrow function. If you observe clearly, this is some sort of arrow function. We are giving this a parameter as a data, and this is like a function which will be run. Okay, the data is a parameter which we are using, and console logging the data. Let's see how it looks in console log. Okay, it's just displayed the data. Don't take a look at that. I will show you how we display the data in a minute. And let me just minimize this. You see over here, it just printed out an array of 10 elements. What I was saying, JSON is nothing but array of objects. Okay, array of objects. Now if I drop this down, you can see there are 10 different objects from index of 0 to 9. Okay, as I think you got it. Array of objects. JSON is nothing but array of objects. Now if I expand each object, it's the same data over here. It's the same data over here. Now we don't need all this data. What I'm doing now is I'm just going to the name. Okay, I'm going to go into the name and email. What I'm printing is name and email in a list. Okay, I'm just printing name and email in a list. Now I'm doing that using JavaScript itself. Okay, this is the most important point again, how to manipulate HTML using JavaScript, DOM manipulation. What I'm doing is there's a new loop called for each. For each is nothing but for each user. For each is nothing but for each user. As far as I think, we can replace this with map. Let's try. Yeah, we can replace this with map. Map is nothing but it will just map over all the elements in the array. Okay, it will just map over all the elements in the array. You can use for each, you can use map. Everything works. Both are same. Okay, clear. like for each object instead of an array. It's like for each object instead of an array. And let's say const li. And now here I'm creating a new element. Okay, in order to display these things in HTML, in order to add these things to HTML, I'm creating the new elements. Okay, I'm creating new elements, and this what element I am creating is li. Li is nothing but list item, as you guys know. I am creating a new list item tag. You can see I'm creating a new list item tag. I'm not adding anything. I'm just creating a null which contains zero, which contains nothing. Just creating. In the next line, what I'm doing is li dot inner HTML, same as the h1 has its inner HTML, li also has its inner HTML. I'm changing that particular inner HTML to this thing. Now here, as you can see, you are observing the new syntax, this dollar sign and curly braces. Now this syntax is used to add variables instead of a string. As you observe, this dash is a string value. Now I can say hi also. There is a print hi in between. Now this hi text is taken as a string. Whatever things are written instead of this curly braces and dollar sign are taken as a variable. Okay, to add a particular variable. So let's say let me just quickly explain. Console dot log and to add variables in between, we will add this upper columns. You can say it's a the one under your escape, just same one under your escape. And we need to, instead of double quotes, we need to use this. And I will say, what I say is hi space. I can specify dollar sign and add two curly braces to add a variable. Let's say, okay, sorry. Forgot we cannot add this in the here. Let me just explain over here. The same script itself. Let's say fish. Let's say fish equals to, which equals to these two things, and then I dollar sign and curly braces, dollar sign and curly braces name. Now I think I removed the name. Yeah, I have removed the name. Let me just declare the name also. Let name equals to right. I just click Control S. It saves the complete file and also um, beautify the code, adjust the code. Okay. If I reload, I'm not printing anything, right? Now I will console log this fish. If you see here, it's printed hello, hi Sai, sir, hi Sai. Because this is treated as a variable, which is this variable. This is the value of the particular variable. I think you understand this particular line now. The particular line is completed now. The next thing is now until this particular this particular line we have just created. We haven't added anything to the HTML. In this line, the line number 26, what we are doing, document dot body. Instead of a body, append the child. Child is nothing but there is a parent-child relationship, as we know, as we are discussing the day one. There is a parent-child relationship in the document object model. Like HTML is a main parent, and it have two child called head and body, and head have different childs and body have different childs and all those things. And we use this terminology called append child li. Li is nothing but whichever you are creating here. Okay, this is a variable. This is not the element li. Okay, this is a variable we have assigned to that li we have created. You can also make this as list item, and we can take the same thing here. Reload. Okay, I think some spelling mistakes. Ignore always do spelling mistakes. Let it be like that. It can be anything, that's for sure. Okay. I'm just appending and okay, sorry. Yeah. It was not a spelling mistake. Sorry for that. Let me just show you again. Yeah. You observe over here, while editing the inner HTML, I haven't changed it over here. If you check now, it just changed back. Okay. This variable name can be anything. I'm just showing that. I'll change everything back to li itself just to be clear. Cool. Now what I have done here, I have fetched the data from an API and I showed you how to display the data. Okay. Now, this is the most important aspect, making your websites dynamic. Okay. You won't add complete HTML once. Okay. You will have some backend and you will get some data over the backend. Now the complete Amazon website is not static. No one just sat, let's a person just start and write the complete HTML for each card, for each item, for each page instead of Amazon. It's completely bigger, right? It's called dynamic pages and dynamic. The complete website is dynamic. It gets the data from the backend through the APIs and it will display the data. And this is how it works completely. Okay. Now APIs is a certain advanced concept. Even if you don't understand, it's okay. It's cool. Nothing to worry. I just said you because that's an important concept. That's the thing. And let me also show you a simple code that I have here, which will display the image from Unsplash. Okay. So this is how we're going to run this. In here, I use some different things called style. I'm editing the style of the image. Okay, I'm editing the style of the image. And instead of the style, this all is a document object. These all are the part of document object itself. Okay. If you see here, I have created a new element instead of a document with of img tag with the name, with a variable name of, with the label of image, and I'm changing the src source of the image to this particular link, and I'm changing the width and height using dot style. And I'm also changing object fit property to the cover, just to be clear, just to look good. Okay. And I'm just appending the particular child which I have created over here. I have created element. Every time you create an element, you need to append it anywhere. Okay. Just appending it to the body. It's just printing like this. If you observe, it's appending on top, not on bottom. From this, what you have observed is it appends from the top. It will not append from the bottom. To do this from the bottom, there is some other methods and all those things. Okay, they're not necessary. This is how we do manipulate the HTML with the JavaScript. Okay. Don't give up at the JavaScript. It will be somewhat overwhelming when you learn for the first time. It will take you some long time to do this particular thing. To learn the JavaScript, like it takes you building 7 to 8 websites to be frank. I personally understand the JavaScript after building 4 websites, what the JavaScript, how it works, and all those things. And now I'll just quickly show you what I have made. And that will be your assignment for the day. I'm just making a new folder called countdown. Ignore if my spellings are wrong. I'm saying it are right on. Index.html is a page, and styles, no need of styles for now. Let's just make a new script, a separate file, just to be clear. Dot js for here and a new style. Just make it professional. Okay, let's just make it look professional. Not to be professional, but let's it look professional. And boilerplate code as usual. And here countdown for new year. Countdown for new year. I'm closing this. I'm gonna start my local server again. I'm gonna just bring the code over here and explain. First of all, let me just link the CSS file using link style.css. Perfect. And over here, let me just bring all the HTML code and link the CSS file. I will explain what I have done over here. Don't get overwhelmed. In this line, as I said, it's better to add script at the end of the okay, at the end of the body, just before the body end. And HTML is nothing but it's just a simple countdown to new year, just a title. Let me start the post. Yeah, it's just a countdown to new year's title with a list which are the elements of days, hours, minutes, seconds. Okay, these are nothing but just we will change these days, hours, minutes, seconds to the actual days remaining for the new year, and to the actual hours remaining for the new year, minutes, seconds, in this format. Okay, we'll change that using JavaScript. So now I'll drop the CSS. Now I don't want to explain CSS because I was talking a lot about CSS yesterday itself. Okay, just to make it pretty, I'm just adding CSS. This is what it does. Okay, this complete CSS. There is no much CSS also. There's margin auto, aligning test center, align item center, okay, align item center, align text center. And H1 I just gave it some letter spacing to look good between the letters, because this is a new property. and text transform uppercase to convert it to uppercase letters. Okay. And list items, I have removed the dot using list style type none. If we do this, it will remove the dot. If you observe before, it was showing some dots, right? It remove those dots and give some padding and font size and all those things. Some small things, okay. And span as display block instead of display in line. Just a simple styling, typical styling, okay. Not a lot thing, not a big thing. And the main thing is JavaScript. And first, I'll drop the JavaScript and look line by line. Don't get overwhelmed by JavaScript over here. Okay. Everything I left with a lot of time. I will try to do this sooner. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm writing a function. Okay. I'm writing a function. This whole thing is a function. If you observe, this whole thing is a function, and I'm calling that function instead of set interval for each second. Okay. I'm calling that particular function instead of set interval for each second. Well, gonna reload. That's not working. Wait, just wait for a minute. Let's see. PT.js. Okay, here. Okay, as you can see, it's working at the right side. Now I'll show you how it's working. Okay. I'm running the particular function for each second. Now I'll explain what's going on inside the function. Now this is just converting the milliseconds to the minutes, like the millisecond wave of minute, like that. Now I'll just I'm also console logging to show you. Inspect and show you. If you remove these consoles somewhere over here, these consoles, let me just comment out these consoles to be clear. If you observe over here, okay, I'm just stopping the countdown because it's running again and again. It's just console logging again and again. Just overwhelming, and I will just run the function once. Countdown. As you can see here, over here, 1000 is in 1 millisecond. 1000 is a 1 millisecond. Okay, yeah, 1000 is nothing but 1 second. Okay, sorry, 1000 is nothing but 1 second representation of milliseconds. Okay, don't get confused. Seconds in milliseconds is 1000. Okay, seconds in milliseconds is 1000. In the same manner, minutes in milliseconds is 60,000. Number of seconds into 60, just a general math. Hours, minutes into 60, days, hours into 24. This is the same thing, just converting into milliseconds, because when we convert the date into get time, there is a method called get time. It will give milliseconds values. Okay. In order to convert those millisecond values into the days and hours, all these things, we are converting the general date, minutes, hour, and day to the milliseconds. Okay. Now observe this particular line over here. Const new year equals to new date. For the new date function, we can also pass a particular date. I'm passing here January 1, 2022. And at the last, I'm adding get time. What get time method does is, like 90% of JavaScript developers don't know what it does actually. And I have Googled a lot, I tried a lot, and got this value. From the January 1, 1970, from January 1, 1970 to till date, how many milliseconds are there? You will give the particular value. And if you can see the time, I've adjusted the time to 5:30. It's because the January 1, 1970 is according to some other time zone. According to India time zone, it's January 1, 1970 at 5:30 a.m. So this is the particular time. Now I will just uncomment this code. I'll say date 1 as this, and I will console log this thing. I will console log this date 1. If you observe it, it prints 0 because to that particular date it's 0. Okay, because to that particular date it's 0. If I increase 1 second, let's say I increase 1 second, it prints 1000 because it's 1 second from that particular time. Okay, I think you guys got this thing by this date and all those things. So let me just uncomment this again, and getting new year date, and we are converting the new year date to get time. What it gives is from January 1, 1970 to January from 2022. These many milliseconds are there. Okay. Now what we're doing with those milliseconds is And we are getting these milliseconds and till date. From January 1, 1972 till date, how many milliseconds are there? We are getting that one also. Okay. If you observe it today, here it says, okay. If I comment this thing also. So we are getting two values, and what we're doing is difference. There is how many difference left between these 2 days. Okay, how many difference, because we want to show that one only, right? We are printing we are calculating the difference. And this is the critical part. Just observe math.floor is nothing but if the value of difference by day is 3.4 like that, it will just rounds off to 3 like that. The floor is nothing but gives the floor value from math calculations. Okay. What I'm doing over here is converting these milliseconds to days, like how many days left. To calculate that, I'm differentiating like diff is nothing but differentiate seconds which are left for the new year to by days. Days is nothing but milliseconds representation of days. Okay, now we need to convert back milliseconds to the number of days, right? At this particular line, we was converting milliseconds to days. That's why we have multiplied by 24 and all those things. Now we need to go back to the days value, numerical value, like 43. For that, we need to divide. This is a simple logic, and this is just a simple mathematical logic on all those things, not a JavaScript aspect. In order to understand all those things, to understand JavaScript, that's just math. This is the JavaScript. What it says is document dot get element by ID. I just showed you how to get the particular elements by ID. Now here, if you observe, I have given these IDs: days, hours, minutes, seconds. I'm getting these 4 elements. Okay, I'm getting these 4 elements. And if you see over here, this ID is given to the span tags. Okay, this ID is given to the span tags, not li. Instead of li, I have one span and a text called days and all those things. Okay, and targeting the spans, not LIs. Out of targeting the spans, what I'm doing is I'm changing the inner HTML to these values: days, hours, minutes, and seconds, which we got after dividing. Okay, which we got after dividing. Just changing the inner HTML, and this is how it works. Now I'm just running the function once, so it's not updating the code again and again. Now let's say I want to run it after each second. I want to set the set interval and give the function, and it will update for each second. Okay. This is a simple countdown timer. Now, if you want to take a simple screenshot of this particular code, actually we haven't created any assignment for today. If you wish, if you like, we will update until the quiz is completed. I will just update you about the assignment. Now this will be your assignment, just to build the countdown timer. Explore your creativity. You can add images to this background, some New Year images and all those things. You can make it creative using CSS, adding some CSS. Like if you want to take screenshot of this function, you can take in this minute. Wait for a minute. Yeah. And Ojaswa and Rahul, you guys can take the quiz. Having late today also, 5 minutes. Yeah. You guys can take the quiz.
Yep, I'll be giving them the links. So
I'll stop share. Was there any doubts with this regard? Okay, we can change directly HTML, but there will be some, like when we are getting the data from the backend, you don't know what the data is, right? That's why we need to change it in the particular. Now I have taken some simple examples which can be changed with HTML and all those things. So there will be complex things in Java while we are building a website, right? Yeah, I have shown that one. I think continuously changing set interval. Okay. Okay, I went too fast. Parts. Fast. Don't understand it. Parts. What should I do? Okay, if you haven't understand a little parts of this, there are two official documentations. People think those are official documentations. One is W3 docs, another one is Mozilla docs. I prefer to reading these two docs. Okay, if you want to get know more about these things, I haven't discussed about all the things in JavaScript. Like there are like get element by class, get element by name. There are different things. You can refer to these documentations for those things. Okay, you can refer to this documentation anytime to learn more. You're not messing with the original code. Yeah, we are not. We are just adding to that code. Okay. When we inspect over this, we're just adding the HTML itself. JavaScript add HTML for you. Inspect over here. It will update by time. For this, Dave countdown UL li. If you check over this value, it just updates. Okay, sorry, my screen is not sharing, right? Yeah, it will be like updating the HTML for every second when you do that. Yeah, I think you understand. Perfect. I just went somewhat fast at the end because I was lagging with the time and I was late for this day also. Yeah. I think you guys understand. Yeah, to show changes continuously, I have said the set interval. It will run the same thing. Like it will repeat the function for every 1 second. That's what's showing continuously. Yeah, okay. Yeah, as an assignment, you need to build the same countdown timer as shown today. And for today's assignment, you are not gonna get any initial files as you got yesterday. I was just creating some initial files, right? For today's assignment, there will be a complete blank folder. You need to create all the things, all the files from the scratch. Okay, cool.
Yep, and we will be beginning with the quiz in about a minute. So if you haven't joined in, make sure you join in for the quiz.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
wait for 2-3 minutes.
And yep.
And also, guys, we are covering all the things which we are discussing in the sessions in some documentation from OSC, Team OSC, and we will send you mail about the documentation after 4 sessions, the link to the documentation.
I guess we can start the quiz then. Most of them have joined.
Wait for 30 seconds to 1 minute after. I can see most of participants of like 80 or 90 people.
Yeah, no worries.
They are joining. I think someone taking time. Yeah, just a minute and then we can start. You can start quiz in 10 to 15 seconds. Yeah. Start a quiz.
Yep, I will be doing that. No worries. Yep. All right, the quiz has begun, and so you may attend it. And this will be available for practice as well, so in case you would like to refresh all the things that have been covered in the session today. And if documentations will be mailed out to you by the OSC team, so it's all good. So no worries about that.
Hello, Pranay, Rahul, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
yep, yep.
Yeah, I gotta go. So you guys end the session on my behalf, like, please. So yeah, guys, bye. Tada. It was a great session today. Pranay, Rahul, please take care. Huh?
Yeah,
Bye.
no worries, no worries.
Good night.
Thank you.
Yep, after the quiz, just check the chat box. I will just drop the link of the assignment in the chat box. You guys should be making the timer for your birthday or your new year or anything. Add some images, add some creativity, styling, and all those things. React, we will not be discussing in this series, but most probably in the semester in the like like same series for a React also. We are planning. That planning is going on. There might be a session in future. Join our Discord server and follow them. Stay tuned. And we will be sending documentation link through the mail after it's done. We're still working on that. Within 2 days, it will be out. Send the link on the mail and also drop on Discord. I hope you guys enjoyed the today's session.
And yep, I'll be ending the quiz in about like a minute or so. So make sure you've gone through the quiz, complete it as soon as possible.
I'm hacker, just hacked and get off. Also, guys, make sure you will be there tomorrow because tomorrow we'll be discussing how to deploy your websites on cloud. Because till now your website was on your local host. How to deploy your websites and how to show your friends and all those things. We'll be discussing about them and also React, like what to learn next, what to do next, what are in trending, what are the most demanded, where to learn, and all those things we'll be discussing. We'll be discussing about the React also.
All right, the quiz has ended. Let's see how the results are like. Definitely like 10 out of 10 people are there. I am hacker, just hacked, I guess. So yeah, congratulations to everyone who took part in the quiz. Congratulations to everyone who got first, second, third. So yeah, in the end, we all learn. It's a everyone learns. There is no losers here. So that's about it from the quiz, and that's about it for the entirety of day 3. We will meet you guys for tomorrow's session, the final day, day 4. And Sai has said it will be where how you will deploy your website and more into web development and what will be our future events definitely. And we'll definitely look into React. That is also under planning as of now. So you will definitely get in to know about it in the coming sessions. So definitely stay tuned for that. And
Also,
in case,
tomorrow's session will not be a very long session. It will be a small Q&A type session. I will also conducting a Q&A tomorrow. Yeah, it will be a short session, not a long session. 3 days. I take it a long time as 3 days. Yeah.
And yeah, we hope even the participants had a fantastic session for the coming these 3 days and even the next coming day. And we hope you have a wonderful day up ahead. And if you have any queries, feel free to drop the queries in the Discord. Be a part of our Discord. And yep, that's about it.
Discord is like a platform where we will be most active all the day. Yeah.
Yeah, so most of our tech department will be there in case you have anything regarding tech department, everything like web development, AIs, machine learning, everything.
Not only related to these things, not only related to our workshop and all, your general progress. If you're working on anything, if you got any query, if you got stuck at any time, just drop on there. We'll be discussing on that.
Yeah, and there are like channels for game development if you are intrigued and interested in
there are like
working
fun
on that.
channels also, like games, names.
Yeah, fun and games is also there.
Yeah, you can introduce it.
Check that out, and if you have any queries, feel free to reach us. And yeah, we will be ending it soon. So let's meet tomorrow, guys. So till then, goodbye and enjoy your day. Good night. Thank you.